Hello friends, welcome to your only channel Times of Coding. Today in our series Scala Express, we will learn about tuple, lazy evaluation and enums. This session will help you to understand Scala tuples and lazy evaluation while declaring your variables with lazy keyword. In previous session, we have learned about higher order function. In this session, we will learn about tuples, lazy evaluation and enumerations. Tuple basically combines fixed number of items together. So here I am defining one function, and with this function we will understand to work with tuple. So I am keeping name for this function as get big word. In this get big word function, I am keeping one parameter as input. This input will take parameter as array of string type, and this function will get us tuple of string and int. So when we write braces and then we define some types, that means we are expecting a tuple out of this function, and this is the way to write tuple here. Okay, so inside this function we are keeping array of string, and the first index value of array we are saving in local variable called wd, word basically, and then we are saving 0 as ix, which will stand for index. Okay, so as we know, index always start with 0, so here we have kept basically the 0 indexed element in the index. Now we will apply for loop. This for loop will start from 1 because 0 indexed element we have already get here, and this 1 until input dot length. So whatever array will pass, it will reiterate as per this for loop till its length, and length is exclusive because this is until. Okay, then we are having one filter condition called if input of I, in that case input of 1 index dot length greater than word dot length. Word we are having here, so word dot length, then it will interchange the value of word. So instead of index 0, it will store index of 1 value here if this condition satisfied, and then index will also have updation here, so I will store inside the index, and that's the reason we have declared these two local variable as var, so we can mutate the value. Okay, after doing this we will iterate again till we find out the biggest word in that collection of array type, and with that biggest word we will make a tuple which will have biggest word and that index of that word inside that array, and this tuple we will write from this function. So this is one of the example how you can maybe create a tuple inside your logic, but this is not the only way. You can try a number of things with tuples. It's just my way to show you. That's how you can generate tuple. So now it's time to use this function. So here we are passing one statement, times of coding is Scala Express, in this get big word function, and we are doing a split also, so that this whole statement will become an array of string. Alright, so as we have seen, this will hold the biggest word and the index of the biggest word. So in order to retrieve its value, we will call underscore 1 and underscore 2. Underscore will represent this value here, and underscore 2 will represent this value. This may look like little weird, so we can in fact name this underscore 1 and underscore 2 literals as word and index here. Now when you define this big word in such way within braces and word comma index, your big word, which is actually giving you tuple, and this tuple will get assigned in this tuple variables. Okay, so you can directly retrieve value after this assignment as word and index. You don't need to do underscore 1 and 2. Okay, moving on to lazy evaluation. Let's say if we don't want to initiate all the values which we are defining inside the program every time, so we can allow system to take decision when to initialize what. So when we allow system to take that decision, we need to write a code with lazy. in case when we are defining variables or functions. Okay, so here we are defining one variable called toothbrush, and inside that human object I'm keeping, and this will simply give us debug message called brushing now. And since this toothbrush is a variable and this is a debug message statement, I'm keeping one Boolean value with this variable. Okay, so unless we uses toothbrush, it will not get assigned, and I'll show you the demo here. When we call kids, which are actually a type of humans who has got variable as lazy, we will simply get the object name, which is kids, and their hash code. You see, we are not getting the initialization message which we should get here. But if you don't declare this variable as lazy, when you call parents, you will get brushing now. So that means when we are calling parents, this toothbrush variable is also getting initialized. But when we are declaring lazy, this is not getting initialized. In fact, you will understand well when we do practical also, and there I can do some edits as well. Okay, moving on to enumerations. Scala has defined a standard class and package of scala.enumerations. And how to create enumerations we will see in this example. So first I'm defining object cars. This car is extending enumerations, and here we are defining three variables, Hyundai, Tia and MG, and then I'm writing is equal to value. So that's how we can define enumeration in Scala, and this is pretty much like imperative style of defining. So we will see how to concise this code. Now we will simply write all the variables in one statement only. So here I'm keeping it Hyundai, Tia, MG is equal to value. Now we will see how to call these enums value. So first, because cars is an object type, so we don't need to use new and braces. We will directly call cars.mg. And when we call cars.mg, we will get cars.value is equal to mg. So you see, here we have defined mg is equal to value, but when we call cars.mg, it is cars.value is equal to mg. So inside the enumerations, whatever you would like to define as a value, you need to define the first as variable name, and then you need to make is equal to as value. So the same value will be represented by when you call that particular enumeration element. Okay, now to import these enumerations, we can follow the same usual way by importing objects.cars. So here this cars will get imported, and then you can use freely wherever you want. So here I'm using simply to write debug messages. With this example we have completed today content in theory. Let's do practical now. Okay, so IntelliJ started. This is the first example we have seen today. So I'm keeping the same function here, defining get big word, keeping input as parameter, which is type of array of a string, and this will get us a string and int type tuple. Here I'm keeping 0 index value in word and 0 index in ix, and then I'm iterating over all the elements till input dot length, and here I'm saving I till input dot length index value in I, and that's how I'm retrieving here the input of index dot length. If it is greater than word dot length, word means this word, then we will switch over the input of I to word and I to index, and that's how we will get the greater element out of this collection of array type. And here we will write the word and index as the outcome of this iteration. Okay, in Scala, in fact here if you observe, we are not writing any braces. So in Scala, if you just wanted to have one statement followed with that for or maybe if, you can skip this braces. It's completely fine with Scala. So now here we will call this function, and here we are keeping times of coding Scala Express. Since it is a statement, we will do split so that it will get converted into as array of string type, and that's how we can retrieve value out of this big word tuple. And if you find awkward while writing _1 and 2, you can name these elements as word and index. we just need to remember one thing. If you're writing val braces word comma index, and then you're assigning this big word, which is also returning us the tuple, then only it will get into the tuple to tuple sync. Otherwise, whatever we will assign, this will get into the words and then comma index, which is a usual initialization. So the difference is, here you can retrieve words, but when you retrieve words here, you will get complete tuple. Okay, because the first variable, whatever we are having here, that will get the complete information from big word return. Okay, so I'll demonstrate to you here while adding println, maybe in detail. So we are retrieving words here. Okay, and in this I'm keeping word first, and then I'm keeping index. All right, now let's run this Scala worksheet. So if you see, here you are getting express only, and here you are getting full tuple express comma 4. So that's the difference. So if you wanted to assign tuple to tuple, you need to include braces as mandate. And if you don't want it to assign tuple to tuple, you can have repetitive assignment as word and index also with same value from big word return. Alright, so let's move on. Here I'm defining object kids, okay, and this is with lazy val, which is toothbrush. So this toothbrush will have debug message called brushing now, and then the value we are assigning in this toothbrush is true. Pull enter. Here I'm calling this kids object, and we will see how it behaves. And the same thing I'm doing as object parents. Parents will also have toothbrush, but this is not lazy type here, if you see. And then I will define debug message here, and then we will keep true value as in this toothbrush variable. Alright, so I'm calling parents here. If you see here, the object of kids type has been defined, and when we are calling kids, that lazy variable called toothbrush is not getting initialized. You see, we're just getting the object name and their hash code. And when we call parents, what we're getting is, we're getting brushing now. See the difference? Here, because we have defined lazy, this is not getting initialized while this object is getting called. But if it is not lazy, which is the case of parents, then when we call this object, it will get initialized. You see, brushing now. So this way, we can in fact dependent on the interpreter. At the time of first access only, it will get initialized. Alright, so after that, we have defined one object called cars, and we have extended enumeration. This is the way to define enumeration in Scala. Here we are keeping 3 values, and this is the syntax to keep values. Okay, whatever values we wanted to define, we need to do is equal to value. Alright, so here we are defining Hyundai, Tia, and MG. Since it is cars, so these are car types. And then we are having object cars. This is basically the same definition, but in a concise manner. And when we execute this, both are valid definition, so we will get both the time object created as cars. Now I'm calling cars.mg. Now let's understand what value we will get. So this statement will get us cars.value is equal to mg. So whenever you wanted to use enumerations, you need to define like this, or maybe like imperative style, and in order to retrieve value, you can simply call object.mg, which you will anyway do in terms of local variable also. But enumeration is good when you wanted to define some constant variables, you know. So let's take an example of Jira status: new, to do, in progress, testing, production, and delivered. So this way, these statuses of Jiras are same, and it is going to be same all the time. So you can treat them as enum if you're designing Jira board, and you can play around your business logic. Alright, so this was about to define enums and to use enums. Now the next thing is how to make that enum accessible from another class or object in case of Scala. So here I'm defining object cars implementation, and I'm defining main, and inside the definition of main I wanted to retrieve enums type of ng. So for this we need to import, and this import will be the usual import which we do in case of classes, in case of packages. So we will do the same similar type of imports till the enum name. So here we have defined object as cars, which is extending enum. So this car is basically behaving like a enums for us. So we need to import till cars, and then these value will be accessible. Okay, and the same way you can in fact do the Scala sheets or scripting also. There also you will import similar fashion, and you will call directly the enum values. Now let's run this. Okay, see, this is also accessible, and if you run this, you see this is also accessible and allowing us to retrieve value. Now with this example we have completed today's content. I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.